And the big, obviously, we're going to start with Man United because it's the trending news again for all the bloody wrong reasons. And there are now reports from the Times that Erik ten Hag is on thin ice at the club. Due diligence is being done. And the Sporting Lisbon manager and, of course, Zinedine Zidane are now being earmarked as potential replacements for him. I'm going to go to Mo first on this. What's your thoughts on hearing this? That the manager's on thin ice and they're looking at new potential managers for him.
Is he just now on thin ice? I thought that was like 2 months ago or something like this. Like, you've been playing really abysmal. I thought this guy would take you to the next level after last season, as I said that many times. To be honest, I don't know. You said it yesterday on the reaction. You don't think there's a fix. I don't think hiring a new manager will be the long-term fix. However, I think it's time for him to go. You need a new face there for the sake of the players, because the bigger asset at the club are the players. Just no matter what anybody tells me, the bigger asset are the players. You have these players. These are the values at the club. And you need, even if a new manager is going to come in and want his team in the summer, you need to be able to sell these players. But if you keep losing games like this, these players will be worth nothing. None of them will be sold. You won't be able to sell anybody. Nobody would want to come to the club next summer. But if you get a new manager bounce, gets everybody on board, probably, maybe with some wins, you'll be able to attract some names. This is still Manchester United. That it's an attractive club. And the players need to be sold a little bit, because to replace them, you'll need their value to be a little bit up to be able to spend, because you cannot spend £1 billion like Chelsea. You're not going to be able to do that. It's very obvious. So for me, it's the right decision. He needs to be replaced today, not tomorrow. It's not on thin ice anymore. He's out. He should be out of the door, just for the sake of everyone and for the sake of the mental health of the fans as well, because this cannot continue.
Wait, actually, can I just quickly jump in? You see, let's keep it real. You see, George Moore, you're trying to be nice here. Football Terry, you bring me here to give it 100% and keep it a stack. You see, George Moore's like, yeah, let's be real. How good is Rashford really? How good is Bruno really? Because my things are, how many managers do these players have to sack? No one wants to say it, but I'll say it. If it's United, the brand, Rashford has to stay. MBE is fed kids and is important to the status of the brand. If it's United, the football club, get him the heck out of there. Bro, the dude has not improved in the last 6, 7, 8 years. You sacked him, how could you bring it? Will any new manager come in and get Rashford knowing how to play with his head up? Will anybody come in and get that trash Mount, be able to play like an actual proper football player? The players are trash because, Terry, you should know this. What did Ralph Ragnarok said? Ragnarok said open heart surgery.
Yes.
From the ground
I think you're wrong. I think you're wrong.
Let me just say,
I'm sorry, Terry. I'm sorry, Terry. I think he's wrong.
Okay. Go on, Mo. Why is he wrong?
Because look at Raheem Sterling as a big example. Had a fantastic career at Manchester City. Last year, under different managers, they couldn't get. You're telling me that these professional football players, they don't have any talent. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying Rashford isn't good enough.
Yes, okay. Look at Ange Postecoglou, how he improved players. A good manager should be able to improve the player. Being good to Man United or not being good, that's not the point. You didn't hear what I said. Even if they're going to sell Rashford, he needs to have something, a selling point. At the moment, he has no selling points. A new manager at least will improve him. Bruno Fernandes isn't a bad player. In the right system, he can be a good player. Even if you're going to sell him, you need at least to have a selling point. At the moment, if this continues, they don't have a selling point. I get your point. And these are not good players for Manchester United. So was Sterling last year. So was Pedro Porro. So your point is invalid here. Because even a replacement player, you need to sell that guy. Because you cannot have 55 players. Not everybody is Chelsea. You cannot have 55 players on your roster.
No. But my point is this.
Before I go back to you, just because I do get your point. This is the problem. Let's just say you're right. We shouldn't sack the manager because the players you've mentioned, Mount and Bruno and Rashford, are no good. He's the guy that just gave Rashford the 350 deal. He made Bruno the captain. He signed Mason Mount. So when it comes to eradicating problems, let's just say you are 100% correct, Mo is wrong. The man you're saying keep on is the guy that has put all his faith in the players that you say are trash. So based on your own logic, backing the manager is stupid because he's backing and he's eyes for talent is wrong. And I think this is the thing for me. And there's a comment here I want to go to because it's interesting. It comes from Prime, who says, so this hipster, me, I don't really think I'm a hipster, but so is Erik ten Hag out now? Absolutely hilarious. The thing with him is when he goes manager out, he goes super toxic and emotional, even more than usual. Goes on to say short-sighted, one-dimensional thinker. But this is the problem, Prime, is you're only listening to the first part where I think we should sack Erik ten Hag. And that isn't because I think bringing in Ruben, bringing in Zidane, bringing in whoever is going to fix us. It's because he has lost the dressing room, and that is clear to see. Yes, we haven't got the greatest players in the world, but we have lost 8 out of 15 games. And even the matches we've won, teams at the bottom of the Premier League have outplayed us. That is nothing to do with the players being bad by a title level credentials, level of ability, comparing them to City. That is a group of players are not playing for this manager. Just because I think the manager should go is not a suggestion that that's going to fix the football club. I said when we employed Ten Hag, no matter how good he is, no matter how well we play or not, if the Glazers stay, this very thing would happen. So when I get called a one-dimensional thinker, I'm not. I've been 110% right every step of the way. We will only improve in the medium to long term when we change how we're run. So for me personally, the players are trash, the manager's trash, it's the tactics. All of this is folly to me. It's about changing the structure of the club. However, Man United fans are not prepared to do anything to change it. So what I'm asking for is a reaction, which is a short-term solution because we're a terribly run club. And if we keep losing at the rate we are and we keep losing confidence, we are in big trouble. The last time Man United lost 8 of their opening 15 games to a season, we were relegated. Now, people say too good, too powerful to get relegated. Nonsense. If we stick with the manager where the players are not running for him, they're not working for him, and we are, just think about how we got the win against Copenhagen. Literally last minute of the game, penalty save. The win against Brentford, 2 goals in the 90th minute. That is not sustainable. This team is in major trouble if he stays. We're in much better condition if he leaves. But Man United fans are labouring on this delusion of stick with the manager and it will break the cycle. What cycle? The cycle that we're not forcing the Glazers to change. It's never going to change. Us saying keep the manager will not fix the club. Keeping the manager will not fix the club. Sacking him will not fix the club. But it's the best of a bad situation that we find ourselves in. And Man United fans have got to wake up and smell the coffee. Do I think we'll get Zidane? Zidane won't touch Man United with a 50-foot barge pole. It's not happening for love nor money. This Ruben lad, I don't think he has the experience to take Man United out of this mess that we are in. Man United need a short-term manager. Why? Because we have a short-term plan by short-term thinking owners. The only guy, honestly, that could get a tune out of us for a year and a half, 2 years, is someone like an Antonio Conte. Don't want his style of football. Don't overly rate him. But a club that's run in a short-term way can only be successful with short-term action. There's no medium or long-term plan. So I get where you're coming from, Have Hope. And I hear you. We need better players. We need better managers. But we can't plan medium to long-term when that's not how we operate as a club. Sometimes in life, it's not about what I want. It's about the reality of the situation. At the end of the day, I'd like to be a little bit taller, maybe. I'm not bad height. I'm 5'10". Maybe I want to be 6'3", but I don't go out and buy a pair of trousers to fit a 6'3" man because I ain't one. They'd look stupid. Man United can't do things like well-run clubs because we're not. And this notion you shouldn't turn on, I'm not turning on the manager. I want the best solution possible for the shit situation that we find ourselves in. And we have to walk away from this coach.
You see, here's my thing. And this is what I said to United fans. If you want to sack Ten Hag, cool, you have 2 choices. Either you replace him with a project manager or you replace him with a good manager, get it to the manager, a win-now manager. You replace him with a project manager, that is stupid. Because if you start a new project again, most of these players have to leave. I now have to spend another 100 and 200 million. So that's stupid. So the only thing that makes sense, if you want to sack Ten Hag, you've got to, as Terry has just said, it's going to be a short-term win-now manager. And I mentioned Conte. United fans attacked me. Oh, he's trash this. I'm sorry. The way United are operated right now, the smartest thing to do if you want to sack Ten Hag is which manager can get results from these sets of players without spending too much money. So you have to get a winner-now manager. A project manager cannot work with these players. They simply can't. So you have to get a manager who, okay, this is what I have. I can develop a system to say what's up. And lastly, before everyone else goes, this is the biggest issue with Ten Hag. In my view, I thought Ten Hag was brought in to be a project manager. Oh, look at what he's done at Ajax. Now, keep in mind, he didn't have the talent ID. That was Van der Sar and Overmars was helping him with the talent ID to get those players. So the idea was Ten Hag comes in and changes United, and United now becomes a project because the winning now under Louis van Gaal and Mourinho did not work. But the issue was Ten Hag came in, and because he maybe felt the pressure of United, wanted to now to become a results-based manager. And Ten Hag, you're not a results-based manager. You're a philosophy manager. And United was supposed to be a philosophy team, which is like out, 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 out. You 6-7 players, get out of there. You players in because we're now building a philosophy, and this will now take several years.
Yeah.
The issue, and I don't know how this went wrong, was Ten Hag was like, no, it's United. I must get results.
But that's
cool.
exactly
That worked for last season.
But have hope. Sorry to interject, but that's exactly the problem. The fact that we all thought he was here to build something. He's now said publicly that ain't happening. So what is the point of him? He isn't a short-term manager. And this is what I'm saying. Man United fans, it's not about me disliking him. What we thought he was going to do, he isn't. You know, if I hire an electrician to come and do my electrics, and then he starts playing with the boiler, I'm going to stop him and go, bruv, you're not a gas engineer. You'll kill us. This is ridiculous. And he isn't doing what he was brought in to do. And LB's just put this into the private chat, and Fabrizio has come out. It's not Fabrizio, where is his news? But he said that Man United have denied any idea or contact to replace Erik ten Hag as a new head coach. The club sources guarantee stories on the manager being categorically false, which personally tells me his job's on thin ice when Man United come out and respond like that. But LB, obviously you're a City fan. You're obviously enjoying Man United's demise. But do you think sacking the manager is the right or the wrong thing to do at this point?
Listen, I think you could go either way. Something that I think United fans need to stop doing, first of all, is beefing with each other, because I think that there are legitimate calls for sacking this manager. I don't think he's been good enough. I think his philosophy of not even implementing a style is absolutely ridiculous. I'm completely 100% with you, Terry, that if he wasn't brought in to sort of play that style, then why was he brought in the first place? That's a load of nonsense. However, at the same time, I also acknowledge the other set of United fans that want to keep him and look at the hierarchy. But the first thing United fans need to do is stop arguing with each other, because both points are completely valid. And people who are saying they want Ten Hag out, that is not reactionary. We're 18 months into his tenure. United have regressed horrifically. They play some of the worst football in the division. They've just been humbled 3-0 against City, 3-0 against Newcastle. Every single fan base that travels to Old Trafford is going to absolutely rip into all those fans at Old Trafford. So these fans coming out, having a dig at United fans wanting the manager gone, that ain't the right approach. That they're quite right and quite entitled to have their opinion on this. From my point of view, I think what he's doing at the moment is completely unacceptable. I think he's completely underperforming his role. I think he's lost the dressing room, in my opinion. The way he's handled the Sancho situation, I'll say it again, I think was dreadful. His signings are absolutely horrific. Horrific, Terry. He spent £400 million. It is horrific. So the calls for him to be sacked are quite legitimate and quite fair. On the other hand, if you get rid of him, who do you bring in? And that is a difficult point. If I was a United fan, I would be seriously torn here. I think in an ideal world, what I'd kind of want is for a sporting director because if Ten Hag stays, one thing that all United fans can agree on, whether you're pro Ten Hag or anti Ten Hag, is that this guy cannot be given a single pound to spend on any player. He is not allowed to make signings anymore. It's got to be somebody else because this guy doesn't know what he's doing. His talent ID is horrific, right? So if he stays, you've got to get a sporting director who makes the signings because this guy can't do that anymore. But the problem is he's already spent £400 million. On that side, you might say, should we just keep him because he might be able to get a tune out of some of these players? I don't think he's going to be able to get a tune out of the likes of Antony. I think Rashford, as Hope said before, I think he's not good enough for Manchester United. He's a purple patch player. Højlund, I think, looks like he has some potential, but again, he's in a minefield right now. It's not Haaland coming to a City team it was a match made in heaven. Højlund's come into an absolute disaster. So, listen, for me, I would be, if I was a United fan, I think I would be edging towards Ten Hag out. But if he does stay, he can't make any more signings. It's got to be a sporting director. And for me, Terry, you've got to tell him, you're playing this way of foot. You're playing this a positive style of football, because that's, I don't know. Does anyone else on this panel, does anyone else when Ten Hag was appointed think that he wasn't going to play Ajax? Maybe not from the start, maybe not from day one, but surely every single person on this panel, surely every single person in the chat thought that he was going to play at least a similar style of football. And the guy's not out saying nah.
Do you know what, Lou? And that's the thing for me, right? It's the fact that he's not going to try and implement that, and he's doing something completely different that isn't working. And you get a lot of comments like this, and I appreciate them, but people are missing the point. And I don't want to sound rude, but this is what I call, you have to have layered thinking. I'm not saying just sack the manager. Sack the manager, we get better. Sack the manager and we improve. That is nonsensical. What I'm stating is that I don't think we'll improve that much, even if we sack him. But if you look at how we're performing, please go back. History repeats itself. The way the players' heads are down, the lack of running, the lack of shape, the way in which we're losing is identical to the end of Ollie's tenure, identical to the end of Jose Mourinho's tenure. These players are not performing. Now, I agree that there needs to be a seismic change at the club at board and hierarchy level to instill a new culture where player power isn't prevalent. I am not supporting player power. What I am stating is we haven't changed that hierarchy and structure because the fans are not willing to do enough to get rid of the owners. If you're buying kits, if you're going to games, if you're a member of the club, if you're contributing financially directly to the club, you are keeping them in power. And until we force them out, the changes that we need to eradicate the player power are not there. So that's what I want. That's my standard. But I can't just sit here and say that knowing it isn't going to happen. That is nonsensical. What I need to look at is, in reality right now, what is the best thing for us? It's a new short-term manager. I know it isn't going to fix us long-term. In an idealistic world, Glazers sell, new structure, we eradicate player power, we bring a manager in, we install a philosophy from day one. It will take time, but we all pull in the same direction. A sporting director's picking the players, and we progress. But that is Rainbow Land. That doesn't exist for Man United because the owners are still here. So I'm really sorry to say this. I am not part of the problem. I'm part of the solution. I boycotted the club 6 years ago, and I've been imploring Man United fans to do it. And I said to you all the day we won the Carabao Cup, if we get rid of these owners, if we bring in a new structure, this club can go somewhere with this manager. But the owners are staying, and the manager has abandoned these principles. He's bought profile of players that cannot play the way that he is trying to play, and they have stopped playing for him. So what do? Just keep losing? You know, if you look at the maths, we keep losing every 8 of our every 15 games. We could go down. What is the point of that? You think if we keep losing like this, at some point it's going to miraculously turn around? We're going to start winning? Where has that happened before? Genuinely, where has that happened before? At a club like Man United that have been in the mud for 10 years. There is no logic, in my opinion, to keeping him. Not because he's a bad manager, but because the structure of the club and the way we've gone about things has ruined it. So you need to pull the Band-Aid off and put a new one on because it's hanging off for me. I've got some super chats here.